He lives. Christ Jesus lives today. He walks with me and talks with me along life's narrow way. He lives, salvation to impart. Remember this? You ask me how I know He lives. He lives within my heart. And those of you who know my stories will know this one, but those of you who don't, I'll tell you. That ending, you ask me how I know He lives within my heart, reminds me of the time when I was little and my mother debated Madalyn Murray O'Hare on the radio. My mother and I were in the kitchen, and I was watching her wash the dishes, and she had the radio on to the talk station, and Madalyn Murray O'Hare, the renowned atheist who was responsible for getting prayer taken out of schools, and that's how she became famous, and she was on a call-in talk show. Well, everybody who called up, she got the best of them because she would interrupt them. I was amazed. Even I noticed it, and I was about 9. They would be talking. She would interrupt them, get them off their train of thought. Then they couldn't remember what they were saying, and then she would win the debate. Well, my mother started rubbing those dishes a little harder. With every call that got interrupted, Mama would rub those and Teflon flakes started flying around the room, and I knew Mama was winding up. All of a sudden, she threw down that dish towel. She walked over to that rotary phone in 1969 and started dialing that number, and they put her on hold, and because they had a lot of callers ahead of her. Well, I run down to my room where my brother was playing his guitar, and I said, Mike, put the guitar down. Mama is about to be on the radio with Madalyn Murray O'Hare. And so we turned on our radio, and we waited, and they had all these other callers, and Madalyn kept trying to interrupt them, and she did, and she would win the debate, and every time she would get the best of somebody, me and my brother would go, oh, Madalyn, 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 have fun while you can, 'cause Mama is on hold. And finally, they hit that button, and they said, Beverly, that's Mama's real name, said, Beverly, you're on the air. Have you ever been to a drag race? When they fire that pistol, Mama was gone. And Madalyn kept trying to interrupt her like she'd interrupted everybody else. She said, what church do you go to? What church do you go to? Mama just... Mama didn't slow down. She didn't let her interrupt her. She kept plowing on. And Madalyn kept trying to say, what church do you go to? What church do you go to? And Mama just... And we were down the hall saying, get it, Mama, get it. And finally, Mama ended her tirade by saying, you ask me how I know He lives. He lives within my heart. And there was dead silence on the radio. Finally, the commentator spoke up. He sounded like he was crawling out from underneath the table. He said, ma'am, would you please tell her what church you go to? And Mama said, I go to the Baptist church. And when Mama hung up, Madalyn Murray O'Hare said about my Mama, said, that woman's very intelligent, but she's dangerous. And she was. If you didn't believe like she believed, she could be very dangerous. Well, that's that story. He lives, Christ Jesus lives today. He walks with me and talks with me along life's narrow way. He lives, salvation to impart. You ask me how I know He lives. He lives within my heart. Well, I've loved being with y'all today, this wonderful Lord's Day, Sunday. Every day's the Lord's Day, you know.